to another episode of The Amanda Hill Show. Welcome to October, if you're here with me in real time, October 2019. As some of you will know, this podcast is a week late as such. Normally podcasts come out on the first Tuesday of the month. This month I needed an extra week for myself after Femme Friday. I've been on tour around Australia. Still so lol to say that out loud. But I've been on tour in September, and it took a few days last week to just celebrate that achievement and marinate in everything that meant. I'm going to speak a little bit more about that self-care and celebration side to it a bit later. But basically, this episode today is a behind-the-scenes rundown of Femme Friday. So I hope that this is beneficial to those of you who are bossing or creatives who maybe see yourself going on a national tour someday soon, or for anyone that runs, workshops, events, circles, because I'm going to be sharing some things I learned along the way of this tour, and I hope it serves, anyone who feels called to listen, because what Femme Friday taught me, some of the overall themes that I'm going to share later are applicable to any stage of life, any type of life that you're living, I guess, is what I'm trying to say. So a couple of housekeeping things to start with. Oh, the other thing I was going to say, the reason I'm really excited to deliver this episode today is I feel like you only get so much from, the snippets on Instagram or Facebook, and I think it's really important, and I've always been quite open with my business from day one as to what that actually looks like behind the scenes and what's going on to bring to life what you see as sort of a final product. So again, with this episode, there's only so much that I can share, but I hope it does sort of lift the lid on some things. So it's more of a storytelling or sharing episode from my end, but I hope you enjoy it. We only have one more episode left for 2019. Can you believe it? So next month in November will be the last episode for this year. What else? All right, let's get to our listener shout out. So each episode, I do a little shout out to one of my beautiful listeners. So one of you who have so kindly left a review on the Apple Podcasts app of my podcast. So this month comes from the beautiful Rhiannon Hodges, and she says, I love Amanda's podcast. It's given me so much strength in who I am and has come into my life just when I needed it. Such a beautiful, real podcast. Thank you so much, babe, for taking the time to leave a review. It supports my podcast, and I'm so happy to hear it's come in at the perfect timing. That's something I so strongly believe in with the podcast and also with each individual episode. So many people tell me that, oh my God, this episode was exactly when I needed it. Always very happy to hear that. Thanks so much. Okay, before we get into today's ep, I want to let you know about 2 courses that I have coming up. So 2 opportunities to work together, to make some magic together. I would love to have you as part of one or both of these if you feel the call. So first of all, this is starting next week actually. Claiming Sensitivity as a Superpower starts 14th of October, so this coming Monday. It's a 3-week course. It's designed for those who identify as being sensitive or empathic. And I created this course because of you guys, because my podcast listeners absolutely vibed with episode 6, which is called Claiming Sensitivity as a Superpower, where I spoke about my experience of sensitivity, and I gave a few tools within that. And then I received so many beautiful emails from my listeners about the impact this episode had. And I thought to myself, shit, this is only, this is the lemon before the pie. I've got so much more. And this is all from my own experience to stay sane or half sane in this crazy world, To be able to exist here, I feel I've had to gather up as many tools as I can. I've tried a lot, and what I'm sharing with you is what works for me, and also what I've learned from my clients. Nearly all of my clients are sensitives as well, and I just love being able to support you in any way I can. So I knew that I could provide something really valuable, and this course ran earlier this year and was a huge success. So I'm really excited to open the doors again. As I said, I share my treasure trove of tools and tips and tricks, and take you on a journey of releasing any shame or guilt you have for being the way you are, and coming to see sensitivity as one of your absolute strengths and really learning how to thrive within it. And I think one of the most amazing things about this course is being in a group of people where you're not the odd one out, or you're not strange for feeling too much, or for being too emotional, or, whatever labels that have been placed on you during your life. It's actually releasing all of that because you're in a group of people that are like-minded, and you can have a sense of belonging within that. So that's really powerful. So enrollments close this Sunday, the 13th, 7 p.m. Australian Eastern Standard Time. The investment is $159 for the course. You have the content forever. I'm not planning to run this course until at least 2021, if then. So if this is something that you're interested in, please jump in for this round. And if there's anything holding you back this week, or you want to touch base, email me, message me. I'm here to answer those questions so that you don't look back and go, oh, damn, I missed out. There's a difference between knowing that it's not for you at this point in time, or something just holding you back, where if you reached out, we could work through that and you could jump in and be part of this from this coming Monday. So pumped for that. Second course coming up is Boundaries Are Beautiful. Yay! I ran this in August for the first time, and it was freaking awesome. And I created this course because this is one of the main areas that clients always come to me for help and guidance with. So if you are someone who struggles with setting boundaries, and you really yearn to be able to do it, and you know that your soul, that you can't go on through life without being able to do this, and you're really looking for that support as you lean in and as you gather that courage to be able to do this course is really for you. Again, it's created with sensitive and empaths in mind. So we go about it at a pace that is able to be integrated by the nervous system. That's not a shock. That's not, all right, go and tell everyone in your life to fuck off. No. I live in the real world, and I know that all of you do as well. So it's really down to earth, integrated. Less is more. We look at one theme per week. So this is a 4-week course. Emails are twice weekly. We have 2 group calls. We have a Facebook group in this course as well. So a place to connect, to ask questions, to share what you're learning with, again, like-minded people. So this course, the cost is $299, but there's a payment plan. Sorry, $290 for one-off payment, and then there's a payment plan, which is 3 payments of $99. Enrollment's closed for that the 3rd of November, 7 p.m. Australian Eastern Standard Time. So I haven't advertised for this course, but it's all up on my website as of now. So if you want to read more, head to www.amandahill.com.au. It's all there. It'll be in the show notes as well. So I'm getting puffed because I'm like getting really pumped. So again, questions for that, let me know. Can't wait to run both of these courses again, and hope to see you, as I said, for one or both if you haven't already done these courses, because I'm not sure when either of them will run again at this stage. Okay. All right, let's get into today's app. I'm just going to have a sip of my tea. Okay, so Femme Friday, I almost want to get like a show of hands. Those listening in, who came along? Show of hands or a fist pump. Yes, a little shout out to all of you. Love you so hard. Okay, so maybe I'll start with the initial idea of Femme Friday. It was in my consciousness for about 3 years before it actually came to life. So when I was at uni and I went out a lot, actually just always growing up, I loved dancing. And then, particularly at uni, I guess when I was going out a lot and, night clubbing and whatever, and always my highlight was the dance floor. I'm the sort of person who like walks into the venue and I'm like, suss the dance floor straight away. Like, is this going to be good? Because otherwise, why am I here? But seriously, live for the dance floor. So always really enjoyed that. But when I had my spiritual awakening as such, which I always say really loosely because I feel like I've been spiritual my whole life. It's just that at that point I had quite a significant awakening and a lot of changes in my life, as often happens. And I stopped going out as much because I didn't resonate with the environments. And because I was really coming into my intuition and my sensitivity, I was like, oh, it's just, not as in alignment for me. Still, even now, I still go out every now and then. It seems to be every few months or 6 months or so where I go, I just need the dance floor hit, and I'll go out till all hours to do it. But going out less, it was fine. And then I started to really miss it. And I was having these conversations with my friends who are on a similar path, and we're like, just every now and then it'd be so good to just have a night out, like to just get to the end of the week and be able to let your hair down without, like how dance floors these days, it's like you have to wait until like 2 a.m. for it to be really like cranking. And I like to be in bed early. So I had this idea that was sort of floating around because here's the thing. I don't like complaining because it's like, I could complain that doesn't exist, or I could just make it, could just create it. And I always felt like when my parents explained when they liked when they went out when they were younger, it was like everything was done by 12 o'clock, by midnight. And I was like, fucking hell, like that is not fair. That is what I want, to go out and then to be able to have a good sleep and not, because if I don't have a good sleep, I'm like wrecked, or if I'm out till all hours. So yeah, I felt like I wanted to create this event, and I knew that there were people like me that were yearning for it as well. So how I get ideas is visually. So I'd sit in meditation and I get these visions of like whole rooms of women dancing. I get little snippets of the night. And it would also be when I was driving my car and I'd be like pumping out to tunes and I'd just see it. I'd be like, oh, it's so there, So I basically just followed what I saw in my head and started bringing it to life. And so last year in 2018 was the debut. So the first Femme Friday, and it was in Geelong. It was a huge success, and I'm so grateful to all my friends that, really got around the event and helped me get it off the ground for that first one. Even prior to that first one, when I was getting the visions, I saw myself going around Australia doing this, and I was like, fuck, that vision's so big, like my ego was like, what the fuck? But after that first one, I remember joking to my friends, like I was on the high at the end of the night, and I was like, oh, they were all asking, so are you going to do this again? And I was like, yeah, I'm going to take it around Australia. And they were all like, oh yeah, awesome. Like when you kind of just go along with someone. And then like this year when I released the tour, I had a few people message me and say, oh, like you weren't joking about that. And I was like, nah, I wasn't. Like felt really good to follow through on that. So that's what the whole, it like gets me in the feels that Femme Friday. So, I've spoken on the podcast before about entities or energies and ideas. Like I'm just so grateful that Femme Friday chose me because I'm in love with it. I love the night. I love what it stands for, and I'm just so grateful that I get to do it. So in honor of this entity, I wanted to follow through on what I'd been shown. So I'd been shown an Australia tour, and I think this year I was just like, so what if I just do that? And what this meant was going beyond things that might hold me back. Like, I wasn't specifically ready to do that, ready in quotation marks. I didn't have a huge Instagram following. I didn't have a lot of things, but I felt like this was the right timing. And I was like, my whole intention with this tour was because I was so proud of myself for following through on my vision. My intention the whole time was anything is a bonus. And that really served me. So whenever I was putting pressure on myself around numbers or how's it going to go? Like, just all that stuff, I would just come back to, this is all a bonus. Like I've followed through. I've committed before I was ready. And I just had that intention of whatever happens is a bonus. And that really served me. So I would love to pass that on to anyone listening. So what the night is, for those listening who didn't come, I'm really sorry. Oh, shit. I'm sorry that you couldn't come, and I hope you can come another time. I can't share specifics of the night, but the night involves cacao, meditation, and dancing. So it's 3 hours. It goes 7 till 10 p.m. and connection as well. So there's opportunity to connect with the other women there. Okay, the last bit on following through with the tour that I wanted to say that I really learned from from it was, no one is going to do your dreams for you. So I think there's a bit of a myth. It's like, okay, when I get to some sort of stage, like someone will tell me to do a tour or someone will organize that tour for me. It's like, no one said to me that I should do an Australian tour. I'm going to be vulnerable and admit this. Like, I decided I was going to do an Australian tour. The reason I want to say that is that's going to be a real gift for anyone listening in. Like, don't wait or if you wait, you might never do it. Whatever it is, right? Oftentimes we are waiting for that permission slip. Like, oh, someone else told me to do it, so it's okay. It's like, no one's going to do your dreams for you. If you see something and you're excited about it and you know you can do it, then it's your choice to decide, yeah, I'm going to make this happen for myself and for my vision, and because I've got something to offer people. I'm here to serve, you know. So Femme Friday was about serving through connection to ourselves and connection to other people and providing a space for that deep belonging. Okay. On that front of anything's a bonus, what I want to mention here is that I knew I was unlikely to make a lot of money from this tour, and I'll share with you all that. Like, at the end of the day, I broke even, so I didn't make any money, I didn't lose any money, and this is because I had great numbers for the event, really great numbers. But once you factor in travel, so I travelled to Perth, Geelong, Sunshine Coast, because I live in Frankston. So the Mornington one was about 10 minutes down the road, which is pretty great. But the other ones, you know, there was flights involved, there was ACOM, there's venue hire. And I want to mention that because I don't know if everyone thinks about that when they book a ticket and they see how much it is. It's like, at the end of the day, I actually, like, for this, another time, like, I can see this really gathering momentum. But for this tour, I broke even, and I was happy with that because I knew beforehand that would probably be the case because I've run events in the past, and I knew that the intention for it was to connect more deeply with my tribe. So I got to meet people from my tribe, so people who've been following my work, clients that I've worked with, people who've done my courses, and then of course people who just came through friends of friends and things like that. But it was such a beautiful opportunity for me to meet face to face, to be in circle with these women that were in my community, as well as, you know, the fulfillment of bringing one of my deepest visions from my heart to life. There is, like, literally, it's priceless. And you'll know what I'm talking about if we've all brought visions to life, yeah? So yeah, I was looking at the other, not just the financial side, I was looking at the other benefits to my life and my business through bringing together this tour. All right, let me talk a little bit about energetic preparation. So the month before, I knew coming up to September, I'd known for a few months that September was when I was going to do Femme Friday and do this national tour. So I was preparing, you know, months before, preparing my energy for it. In August, I chose to have a lot less time on social media. I went quite inward. I had lots of time to myself, and I also went deep I had a Boundaries Are Beautiful course running at that time and Empowered Women course. So I stuck to myself a bit more. I knew September was going to be quite an extroverted month for me, and because I'm an introvert, meaning I get my energy from being by myself, I really already in the month before was preparing for that. Then around the tour, I had heaps of buffers. So I worked the least that I could, in that I still had my one-on-one clients, but I wasn't running any courses at that time. I cut back a couple of my yoga classes. I got them covered. I planned less catch-ups with friends and things like that. I knew that I would need like the couple of days after Femme Friday. I'd also need the couple of days before. So there wasn't much time to be hanging out with friends and doing that sort of thing, every now and then. But I just knew I wanted to top up my energy as much as I could in between the sessions. I had as much rest as I could around Femme Friday. I prioritized going to yoga and going to Pilates when I was at home. So as I said, I was traveling for a couple of the events, but when I was home, I was going to yoga and Pilates, and nature time was really important to me as well. Okay, so when I felt into the tour, I knew that I wanted to do Femme Friday for the whole month. I wanted to have each Friday night a different location. So straight away I knew Geelong. I'd done it the year before. I knew it would work. I've lived in Geelong for a total of, 3 or 4 years over the last 8 years. So I knew I had a community base down there. I knew that was a definite. I knew I wanted to have one in Mornington. So I grew up on the Mornington Peninsula and I've just moved back there this year. So I knew I wanted to get that going. I also knew Perth because I've got a few clients in Perth. I also have a beautiful friend, Tracy, who I knew I could stay with, and she helped me, bring together the Perth leg. For a little while, I didn't know where the other location was, and then I had a beautiful woman in my community reach out to me and say, you should come to the Sunshine Coast. And straight away I knew, that's the fourth one. That'd be awesome. So I was really grateful for that. So then I had my 4 locations locked in. All right, so I'm going to move through some of the main points from each night. So Perth. I start laughing because those of you who come know our little pivot, a little plot twist that we had on the day. It's really funny because I flew into Perth on the Thursday, the night before. And then on the Friday, Tracy and I had a beautiful day together. She took me out for lunch. We went to the beach. We had our hair done. And all day I said to her, she kept asking me, how you feeling? And I was like, yeah, good. I'm a little bit on edge because nothing's come up. And I know this from running events and workshops in the past. There's always something, whether it be big or, really small. There always seems to be something on the day or in the lead up that you kind of have to pivot on, or you have to make a decision on. So I was saying to her that whole day, I'm just like, everything's going so beautifully. Like, I'm feeling great for the night. I'm just kind of like, what else is there? Like, have I covered all bases? And I think because I was in a new town as well, I was just like, I hope everything's okay, because I think we're all good, but and she's telling me, like, let it be easy, just go with it. And I was like, yeah, we're good. So I had 15 women altogether for Perth, which I was absolutely stoked with. At about 5:45 or so, Trace and I got in the car and we're on the way to the event. We had everything with us, all good to go. At about 6 p.m, I got a message on Instagram from the venue. I'm not going to mention any names because I wouldn't do that. But anyway, the venue had messaged me saying that there'd been a double booking and that there were 50 people coming from another booking to use the venue. And I was like, oh my God, like drop the bombshell. The lady said to me, oh, still come, we'll work it out when you get here. And I was like, no, we won't. Like, I got off the phone and it was great because Trace went into full girl boss mode. She was like, we've got an hour. We're going to make this happen. She's like, we've got plenty of time. I was like, okay. And she just called every contact she had in Perth. And I was so grateful in that moment to have her because I was in a new place. If I didn't have her, I don't know what I would have done or whether we would have needed to cancel the event. After about 10-15 minutes of calling and messaging, beautiful studio in Perth, and I will mention them because they absolutely saved my ass. Yab Yum said that we could come and use the studio, and it was just incredible because it all happened seamlessly. We're driving to the new venue and we called everyone who was coming to let them know. A couple of people had already driven to the other venue, but we got everyone, got onto everyone, and then walked into Yab Yum and they'd just finished a yoga class. The studio was all warm. The fairy lights were on. Trace said to me, oh, just put your music on. The speakers are amazing. And I was like, oh my gosh, because that's like one of the main things for Femme Friday is the speakers and the sound quality, because it does get into a bit of a rave and it's almost make or break for the night. And I thought, where am I going to get speakers at like 7 p.m. on a Friday night? So absolutely blessed. Everyone got there by 7:30. And the night went absolutely beautifully. So obviously that other venue wasn't in alignment, but I sort of said to the universe, I was like, could we have arranged that, the day before or a week earlier? But it's all learning because what I took from that was that I need to double and triple check with venues prior, and all of our communication had been online. And I sort of thought to myself, what I'm going to do in future is actually always give the venue a call, or if I can, go in the day before and meet them, and so that they're like, okay, this is a real person, she's legit, this is all happening, this is all going ahead, and really making that face-to-face contact. I think that's what I took from it. And big love to any of the Perth babes listening in. It's absolutely beautiful community down there, and it was my first time to Perth. So again, this was such a gift of the tour, is that I made little holidays out of each leg. So I had a few days in Perth afterwards, never been there before. So and had some quality time with my friends. And it was just a beautiful trip and amazing weather far out. It was gorgeous. So big love to Perth. Okay, the next week was Geelong. I woke up the morning of Geelong and I sat at my little altar where I sit for meditation, And I just had the absolute feels. I was like, oh my God, it is on tonight. Like, I had this knowing the whole day. I was like, tonight is going to be the highlight of my career. Like, I get the goosebumps now. Oh my gosh. I had 27 women coming, and I think because about half of them had been to Femme Friday the year before, and most people coming I had a really personal connection with. I knew that they understood my work, and that they were going to really show up. So had the feels all day. Matt came down with me to Geelong, which was amazing to have that support on the day and the day after. And because my energy was like skyrocketing, I thought I was going to lift off the planet like all day. It was great to have him because he's probably the most grounded person I know. So he kept my feet on the ground that day, kept my logical mind ticking over with all the things we needed to do that day. And the other reason I mentioned that is that it's so great to have that support person. It might be a partner, it might be a friend. When you're running things like this, I'd really recommend that. So arrived at the venue. Everything was absolutely perfect. I was kind of on edge from the week before. Like, I was thinking, can it really be this good? But actually it was. It absolutely was. And I think what I was seeing was reaping the rewards of the year before. So the year before in Geelong, I was in like this old school hall. It was all very back to basics, down to earth. It was beautiful. It was perfect. It was exactly what it needed to be. But this year was a total upgrade. The space was perfect. The music was super loud. The vibes were on. I decided to have a photographer who also took a beautiful video of the night. So, of course, I asked for consent for that. But I'm so glad now in reflection that I got that, because it's really hard to explain to people what Femme Friday is. But that video, if you haven't seen it, it's on my Instagram and Facebook. I'll leave a link in the show notes. It just, it's a reflection of the essence of the night and what happens. So very grateful. And that's just invaluable for me for promo for future and things like that. Okay, Sunshine Coast. Wow, this was huge growth. This challenged me the most. Or second most, this and Mornington in a different way. The week of Sunshine Coast, I had no bookings. I was grateful that I had been in positions like this before. When you run events, there's inevitably times when people haven't booked. And what I've learned from that is finding a sweet spot between surrender and action, and which is really hard to find, but knowing when you're going too much into action and you just need to surrender, or when you're going too much into surrender and, what will be, and you're not taking any action. So that whole week, that was really forefront of my mind. I was like, okay, like thinking about my side of the street, basically. So what's in my control? What can I do? So that was things like reaching out to people who had expressed interest or being tagged in a Femme Friday post that I could see lived in Sunshine Coast. Using any contacts I had to spread the word. And then the surrender was in walking away from my phone as such and surrendering and giving the event space. For Sunshine Coast, Matt had decided to come up with me so that we were actually going to make a holiday of it. So we went up on the Thursday and we came back on the Monday. And obviously the Femme Friday was going to be on the Friday night. And the reason I say this is, and I mentioned with Perth as well, how I had the holiday. I also had, the next day in Geelong, to relax and see a few peeps. But why I recommend the holiday is it takes the pressure off, because work-life balance vibe. I was like, okay, well, we're already having a holiday at Sunshine Coast, so, you know, if we get up there and no one comes, and it's not like it's been a waste, we're going to have a beautiful few days away. On the Tuesday in the lead up, I had one person booked in, and I was absolutely pumped. Because other than that, it was a really funny week. I was like chatting with people who were really keen, and then for whatever reason, they couldn't make it. So on Thursday, Matt and I flew up, and the woman I mentioned that had invited me to come up, so she was going to be a support person for me on the night. She messaged me saying she couldn't come. Her sister had actually gone into labour the day before, and she needed to be with her. Of course, family comes first. But it was at that point I was considering cancelling, because I thought it's going to be a bit awkward with just me and one other person. I wasn't going to cancel there and then, but I just thought, all right, let's see how the next 24 hours sort of play out. Matt mentioned, let's go and check out the venue, because that might affect your decision, like if it's a great venue or not. Went to the venue. It was absolutely amazing. This is Fresh Holistic Health, and it was up in the hills from Maroochydore, and the guy running the venue was absolutely gorgeous, and the speakers were great. I was like, oh fuck. And we went out for dinner that night, and Matt said to me, Mandy, you have to do this. The venue is sick. We're staying like 10 minutes away. You've got to make this happen. And I said to him, yeah, but I've like done all that I can. I don't know what else I can do. And he said, no, you got to think outside the box. After dinner, let's go print some flyers. And I was like, oh my God. Because I didn't realize this until I was up there, until that night. But I had been, and I am in my little social media comfort zone. Like, nothing really is outside of my comfort zone in terms of sharing on social media or talking or, you know, sharing my event relentlessly. Like, I believe in what I'm doing. It's fine. But when it comes to outside of that box, I realized that there was growth for me there. Like, putting myself out there face to face feels more vulnerable to me. So the next day we were sticking flyers on my face, oh my gosh, up around the town where we were staying. I also joined, this is another one of Matt's ideas, I joined a heap of Sunshine Coast, like locals only Facebook groups, and I was posting in them all. I also asked the venue to post on their Facebook page and their Instagram. Again, these are things I wouldn't normally ask for, but I was outside of my comfort zone. I was thinking of just whatever I could to bring this together, because I was like, there's people out there, just how do I reach them? So it was that Friday morning. We'd just been out for breakfast, and we were walking past looked like a really cool cafe, and Matt said, oh, you should go in there and see if they'll have some flyers for you for tonight. And I was like, okay, like I didn't want but went in there. I got chatting to the waitress, and she was absolutely awesome. She wanted to know all about my event, and I left a bunch of flyers with her as well. I got in the car and had a notification on Insta, and she had put up a story saying she was so excited for Femme Friday tonight and that she was coming. And oh my God, my heart, with 3 of us, so 2 women coming and me, I was like, oh my God, the night is officially on. And I was like on a high, because all week it was just so touch and go. And I thought, yeah, now it's just definitely happening. So yeah, I was excited, but I was also bit nervous because I'd never done Femme Friday with such a small group, but just kept plugging into that trust. And I was like, just show up how you always do, and that's all you can do. Then at 4 p.m, so the evening starts at 7 p.m, 4 p.m, I had another booking. So I was like, oh my God, 4 of us, that is a party. Where I'm like, we are definitely on now. So as soon as they all arrived, I knew all was well. I was so impressed because none of them knew each other and none of them had met me before the night, apart from, as I said, the lady I'd met at the cafe that day. There was another one that came through my friend that had invited me to the Sunshine Coast. And then the last one saw the Facebook post from the venue that they'd put up. And yeah, if any of you are listening in, oh my gosh, what a special night that we had. There was just so much love and trust in that room from the first moment. And each of them were just so grateful to be there, and we had the best night. So the next day I was like, fuck, I can do anything if I can pull that off. Like, it just, yeah, gave me a lot of confidence, and I was really proud of myself for following through on it. All right, last one, Mornington. So I put this last because, to be honest, I thought it was going to be the hardest to sell. I have a couple of friends who also run events or have done in the past on the peninsula, and we joke about the peninsula being a hard nut to crack. And I won't go into detail about this, but yeah, it can be tricky at times, especially if you're not doing something that's necessarily cool as such. But I have to eat my words because on the Wednesday, it sold out with 30 women coming. So I was absolutely stoked, so proud of the niche. I think things are changing, progress is happening. And yeah, the thing is, I was actually most nervous for this night more than any of the others because I had my mum, some aunties and cousins coming along. I find that it is so much easier when you don't know the people coming. So those who have been to Femme Friday will know why that was quite nerve-wracking for me, having those people there. Yeah, so I really lent on my fairies on the night and let them know that I was nervous, and yeah, really felt that support from them. So that was amazing. On the other note, I also had this new confidence because I was like, if I can pull off Sunshine Coast with 4 of us in a place I don't know anyone, and we can have the same incredible energy, then I can easily pull off Mornington, where we've got 30 incredible women coming. I was also, in the lead up, less hesitant to reach out to people who had expressed interest or had been tagged in Femme Friday, because Sunshine Coast, I was like grasping at any sort of lead I had, and I was like, oh, there's heaps of people I know on the peninsula. I can do this, and I can push past my discomfort in putting myself out there, or, reaching out to people. So on that note, I had the confidence, and I also had the momentum of each one beforehand. So the space was perfect. Had women of all ages, in particular at the Mornington night, which I was so happy with, and that's one of my initial visions for Femme Friday, is women of all ages, and really creating an event that's inclusive and really welcomes that. I nearly ran this event about 3 years ago on the niche, and I now understand in reflection why I didn't. I feel like it needed this time, and after the night, my heart was so warm. Like, I really have hope for the peninsula that this community of creatives and soul seekers is coming together, and that it's possible. I do worry at times, not worry, but I don't know. I think there's a need for it now, and it's coming through more and more. So I'm excited for that because I think it's really, really needed. Only thing from this night was that I needed the speakers a touch louder. I don't think it affected the night, but I think it would have taken it to the next level to have, that feeling of the sound like vibrating through your body. That's what you want. Okay, so future Femme Fridays. Lots of peeps been asking me for monthly, weekly, all sorts of things. But I do see it as an annual event. I see it as a boutique special event that people get really excited for, that there's a build up to. And I saw that pay off from Geelong because having it there the year before, the people who had been were so excited. And then I also think that's why it really went off, because those people knew the energy that we're playing with and could carry that alongside me. So I'm excited for future events as it grows. I hope to run it again next year. Nothing set in stone yet, but that is the vision at this stage. Other final notes, I really see this as more than just an event, and I got that sense during the tour. I was like, oh my gosh, this is like a movement. This is all of us dancing together. So even when I was in the room with, the women at the Sunshine Coast, I could feel the women from Perth, the women from Geelong. It's like, even though they're different nights, we're all dancing together. And it's a really, really sacred space. So other things that came up was like the feeling of dancing for women, perhaps in generations before us, who didn't have the freedom that we now do. Also dancing for the women who live alongside us that don't get to dance, as well as dancing for ourselves. And the energy in the room of no judgment, of no fucks, of freedom, of safety. To me, it's a vision for humanity at large that I have. And it's a rewriting of sisterhood, of that deep connection with women, between women, that is such a healing force in the world. And for creating a sense of belonging for exactly who you are, not having rules on that belonging, like you belong if you wear this or if you dance like this. It's a sense of belonging for coming exactly as you are. Other notes, I've mentioned the fairies. So I had fairies at each night except for Sunshine Coast. The others I had 5 to 8 fairies at each night. So these are women I invite to come and help me with the event. So in the lead up, they help me spread the word. On the night, they help me with different jobs that I have. They help me set the energy to create a container of complete safety. And I highly recommend this if you're running events. Ask for help. Ask for, don't do it all on your own. Just don't. It's so much better when you have extra help. It makes your event better. It makes your event more potent and more powerful, more memorable. I honestly couldn't pull off Femme Friday the way it is without my fairies. So shout out to any of you listening in. Thank you so much. Okay. All right. I'm going to share with you the number one thing that Femme Friday has taught me, and that's vulnerability. This word is thrown around so much, but Femme Friday just showed me in a whole new way how powerful it is when you're vulnerable. And if you came to the night, you know what I'm speaking about here. What I learned is that your vulnerability is one of the greatest gifts you can give to others, and then to yourself as well, because the rewards for doing so just come back to you like tenfold, 100-fold, 100,000-fold, you know. So I mentioned self-care during, but in terms of afterwards, so after Mornington was on the Friday. The Saturday was grand final day, and I went to a grand final day party and then had a few things on the Sunday. Monday morning I taught yoga, and when I got home from yoga, my mind started going into, now record the podcast for tomorrow, which, as I said, it's normally due on the first Tuesday of the month. Then get claiming sensitivity ready for launch, etc., etc. My mind was going into, all right, what am I doing for this week? And I could see the week slipping away in terms of celebrating myself, and I really yearned for that time to take stock and celebrate Femme Friday in the month of September and all that I'd learned and grown into. So I was yearning for that time to integrate, but just to be and to do nothing. So I made the call Monday midday, and I'm so glad. I cannot express how glad I am that I did this, because it was, that point when it's like it could have easily not happened. But I made that call Monday midday to postpone my potty episode, and also just cleared the decks until Wednesday night. So Wednesday nights I teach yoga. I cleared as much as I could, and set the intention for those 3 days to be about celebration. So everything that I did was about celebrating myself. So I just asked myself, what do you want? What can I give to you? And for me, self-care is ultimate celebration. So I already had chiro booked in. I then booked a massage as well. I spent time just, pottering around the house, just being in my home, regrounding. I went and bought fruit and veg, did those sort of things, slept in, napped, went to yoga, the gym, stared into space, just did anything that felt really nourishing to me. And as I said, I can't tell you how glad I am. Newsflash, the world didn't stop turning. When I got to my work on Thursday, I was ready for it. I was refreshed and ready to give from that overflow. And, this is where I'm really inspired by my clients that I work for, and that helps me to be in the highest version of myself, because I'm always asking my clients when they've achieved something, how did you celebrate yourself? So I think that's what inspired me, to lead by example and embody what I share with others. So I hope this episode has been beneficial for you, and that there's been a nugget of gold for you in there somewhere. A reminder for upcoming courses, so claiming sensitivity is a superpower, and boundaries are beautiful. Please make a note of these dates if you're considering. Enrollment's closed for claiming sensitivity this Sunday, the 13th of October, 7 p.m. Boundaries are beautiful. Enrollment's closed 3rd of November, 7 p.m. I would love to have you as part of these courses. Head to www.amandahill.com.au to book your spot. And of course, I'm here. Message me if you have any questions whatsoever. And much love to you all. I'll see you next month for the final episode of this year. Mwah.